You're standing on the balcony, waiting for the water to boil. Nothing is happening. You're not doing anything. Just standing there with one hand resting on the railing, looking out at whatever there is to look out at. A courtyard, a street, the backs of other buildings, a slice of sky between two rooftops. The kettle is on. You've got maybe 2 minutes. And if you stop, really stop, the way you almost never do, you'll notice that you are in fact listening to about 30 things at once. There's a main road somewhere to the left, not visible but audible, a low continuous wash of tires on tarmac. There's an air conditioning unit on the building opposite, a particular unit, the one that cycles in a rhythm slightly out of sync with everything else. Somewhere below, a door opened and closed, and whoever went through it is gone. A bird, possibly a sparrow, possibly not, you've never been good at this, is doing something in the tree at the edge of the courtyard, and then it stops. There's the kettle itself, building quietly toward its click. You weren't listening to any of these. You were just standing there. But they were all there, in you, the whole time. This happens more often than you probably think. Every day, dozens of times, you pass through a moment where the front part of your attention goes idle, waiting at a red light with the window down, lying on the sofa, not quite watching the thing on television, walking the stretch of pavement between your front door and the corner you turn at without thinking. In those moments, you're not listening. You know you're not listening. You're not focused on anything in particular. You're just between things. But your ears have never once made that distinction. They've been going the whole time, cataloguing, receiving, passing things along. The city outside the train window, the particular hum of the carriage, the conversation happening 2 seats behind you, which you're not following but which is still arriving. It all comes in. It always comes in. The question is what it does once it gets there. Here's the strange part. You can close your eyes. You do it every night, and for hours your visual system goes essentially offline. You can close your mouth, and the sense of taste pauses, waiting. You can stop touching something, and touch disappears. You cannot close your ears. There is no mechanism for it. No eyelid equivalent, no voluntary shut-off switch. The structures of your ear are open to the world from the moment you're born, and they remain open until you stop being alive. Even when you're asleep, properly asleep in the deepest part of the night, they keep going. You know this already, in some sense. If someone calls your name from another room while you're asleep, you often wake. Not always, and not to everything, but to the things that matter to you. Your name, a child crying, a sound that's wrong in the way only certain sounds are wrong at 3 in the morning. Your eyes were closed. Your conscious mind was somewhere else entirely. And still, your ears found the signal, sorted it from everything else, and brought you back. The cocktail party version of this is something most people have experienced without having a name for it. You're at a loud gathering, mid-conversation, not listening to the room around you. And then from 10 feet away, in a different conversation, someone says your name. And you hear it. Not because you were attending to it, because something underneath the tension was doing the work for you the whole time, running a quiet filter through everything coming in. Your ears don't switch off when you stop paying attention. They just stop bothering you with the report, which means that everything around you right now is doing something. Not to your thoughts necessarily, not to whatever you're consciously processing, but to your body, which is receiving all of it and doing something with all of it, whether your attention is on it or not. There's a version of this that you could confirm tonight if you happen to live on a street with regular traffic. A lorry goes past, not a disaster, not an alarm, just a heavy vehicle doing its ordinary thing. You don't wake. You won't remember it tomorrow. But in the moment it happens, your heart rate shifts, very slightly. Your blood pressure nudges upward, briefly. There's a small release of cortisol, the stress hormone, which your body produces when it decides, below the level of your awareness, that something worth responding to has occurred. The lorry has already gone. Your conscious mind slept through the whole thing. But your body just did a small amount of work. Researchers who have tracked the long-term effects of traffic noise on people living near busy roads have found these kinds of overnight responses are associated with disrupted sleep architecture. Not waking exactly, but shifts in sleep stage, the body moving away from its deepest rest at the very moments when it matters most. Over time, and across a population, these patterns have been linked to wear on the heart that builds up over many years. Not dramatically, not inevitably, but measurably. Your body is keeping score on sounds you never consciously heard. There were researchers, some years ago, who studied two groups of school children in London. One group went to school close to a busy flight path, planes every few minutes during the school day. The other group went to school where there was no such flight path. The children near the airport had, by their own account, stopped noticing the planes. They didn't flinch when one went over. They barely looked up. As far as they were aware, it had ceased to be an issue. But when the researchers looked at reading scores, the children under the flight path were, on average, a few months behind. Not failing, not obviously struggling, just running slightly behind, in a way that was consistent across the group and that couldn't be explained by other factors the researchers controlled for. The children hadn't gone quiet with distraction every time a plane went over. They'd adapted. They'd done, consciously, exactly what humans are supposed to do. They'd tuned it out. But tuning out isn't free. Something was still processing those planes, still spending some portion of its available resources managing that stream of input, even when the children's awareness had decided it wasn't worth their attention. Some part of them was still listening. Your body has been doing this for your whole life, in the places you've lived. And it has been doing it so consistently that by now, you probably can't hear the sound your city makes, not because it isn't there. Because you've heard it so many times that your brain has decided it can safely predict it, model it, file it as background, and stop reporting it to you. The way you stop seeing the frame of your glasses, if you wear glasses. The way you stop feeling your own heartbeat most of the time, even though it's happening constantly. Right there. You don't hear your city's sound, you carry it, in a hotel room, in an unfamiliar city. This becomes legible. You travel somewhere, not far, maybe, just far enough. The hotel is fine. The bed is fine. The room is dark. There's no particular reason to be awake. But you are awake. Something is slightly, persistently wrong, and you can't locate it. It's not loud. It might be quieter than home, actually, but it's the wrong quiet. The low frequency that's been underneath your sleep for years, the specific pitch of your neighborhood's exhaust, the pattern of the roads outside your building, the hum that belongs to your city and you're part of it, and the particular hour isn't here. This room has different sounds. Not terrible sounds, not threatening sounds, just not the ones your body expects. And your body, running its overnight predictions, keeps noticing the mismatch. Every few minutes, something is slightly off from what was forecast, which means something keeps briefly, almost imperceptibly, waking up to check. You fly home. You walk into your flat, into your bedroom, you lie down. And you're asleep in 10 minutes. Not because the bed is better, because the sound is right. There was a Canadian composer and researcher named R. Murray Schafer who spent much of the 1970s thinking about exactly this. The idea that sound environments have a character, a texture, something like a personality. That every place has what he called its keynote, a sound so fundamental to that environment that it operates as a kind of bass note, continuous and largely unheard, setting the register for everything else. In a fishing village, the keynote might be water. In a forest, wind through a particular species of tree that grows there. In a city, it tends to be the low, sustained frequency of combustion engines, the collective exhaust of thousands of vehicles doing their ordinary thing, vibrating at a pitch that depends on the city's topography, its building density, the specific mix of its traffic. Schaeffer's insight was that the keynote is, almost by definition, the sound you don't hear. You only notice it when it changes or stops, or when you go somewhere else and find yourself listening for it without knowing you're listening for it. Every city has one, and they're not the same. The keynote of one city is different from another's in ways that are hard to put into words, but that your body registers immediately, because your body has been calibrated to one of them, and this is not it. Some sounds are keynote in this sense, constant, predictable, forming the background. Others are what Schaeffer called soundmarks, sounds so specific to a place that they function almost like a signature. A particular church bell at a particular pitch, the sound a specific metro system makes when its doors open, unique to that city, immediately recognizable to anyone who grew up near it. The pattern of a particular pedestrian crossing signal that residents of one city would recognize anywhere in the world. These sounds aren't just there. They're embedded in you if you've been around them long enough. They're part of the acoustic agreement you've made with the place you live. The reason your body handles the fan noise in your bedroom but not the unfamiliar traffic outside the hotel has to do with prediction. Your brain is, at some level, constantly trying to model the immediate future. Not dramatically, not predicting whether you'll get the job or whether it will rain on Friday. Just, what's the next half second going to sound like? What's the next moment going to feel like? It's doing this automatically at a very low level all the time. When a sound is predictable, when it follows a pattern your brain has encountered hundreds or thousands of times, the brain builds a model, confirms the model, and lets the sound disappear into background. The fan in your bedroom hums at a stable frequency. By now, your brain can predict it almost perfectly. It barely needs to listen to it anymore because listening isn't adding new information. The model holds. When a sound is unpredictable, when it comes and goes, starts and stops, varies in ways that don't conform to a clear pattern, the brain can't build that model. So it keeps checking. Each new instance is a fresh input that needs to be processed, compared against expectation, assigned some level of significance. Not urgency, not danger, just unknown. Needs attention. The footsteps upstairs at 2 a.m. wake you when a passing car doesn't, because the car is predictable and the footsteps aren't. You can't model where they're going or when they'll stop. Every time they shift, your brain recalibrates. This is also why the body of water outside a holiday cottage often sends people to sleep quickly. Waves are predictable at a large scale, variable enough at a small scale to give the brain something to model, and repetitive enough that once the model is built, the sound becomes something you can comfortably hand off to the background. It's almost perfectly calibrated for letting your prediction system satisfy itself and stand down. Most city sounds are not like this. They're partly predictable. The traffic has a rhythm, the city has its keynote, and partly random in ways that resist clean modeling. Which is one of the reasons that sleeping in a city involves, for most people, a kind of ongoing negotiation that they're not aware they're conducting. The water boiled at some point while you were standing there. You heard the click, or the whistle, or whatever sound your kettle makes when it gives up. And you went inside, and you made whatever you were making. And the sounds outside continued. They've been continuing. The road, the air conditioning unit cycling in its slightly off-tempo rhythm, the bird that may or may not have been a sparrow, the distant machinery of a city doing its ordinary thing. You didn't design any of this. You didn't choose the acoustic texture of where you live, any more than you chose the exact angle of the light that comes through the window in the afternoon. You moved to a place, or you were raised in a place, and over time, your body learned it. The particular frequencies, the particular patterns, the specific way this place sounds at this hour, on this kind of day. It's in you in the way that a lot of important things are in you. Not consciously held, not deliberately chosen, just accumulated. The acoustic agreement you've made with the place you live, over months and years of simply being there while it sounded like itself. You probably haven't thought about it. Most people don't. But if you ever leave, really leave, for long enough, you might find yourself in some unfamiliar hotel room in some unfamiliar city, lying in the dark, listening for something that isn't there. Trying to find the low note that was always underneath everything at home, the one you never once deliberately listened to. In 1951, a composer named John Cage walked into an anechoic chamber at Harvard University. An anechoic chamber is a room engineered to absorb sound, all of it as completely as possible. The walls are lined with wedges of material designed to trap sound waves before they can bounce back. There are no echoes. There is no reverberation. The room is intended to be, as close as engineering can make it, completely silent. Cage went in because he wanted to know what nothing sounded like. He stayed for some time. He came out and told the engineers he had heard two sounds, one high, one low. The engineers explained. The high sound was his nervous system in operation. The low sound was his blood in circulation. He had gone looking for silence and found instead the sound of being alive. Cage's experience in that room became one of the more famous stories in 20th century music. Not because of what it proved scientifically, but because of what it suggested. That silence is not a thing that exists outside you, waiting to be found. Silence is the name we give to sounds we've stopped noticing. And the sounds we've stopped noticing are still there, doing whatever they were always doing. There is no off switch, there is no room quiet enough. As long as there is a body, there is sound, and the body is always, at some level, in relationship with it. You were listening on the balcony. You're listening now. You'll be listening tonight, when you think you've gone somewhere else entirely. You just won't always know what you're hearing.